It was a dark and stormy night, nor'easter rolling in. It's a long 12 hours, the power's out again. I pray for inner strength and that we don't lose no lives. Just another day in the first responders' eyes. Half a cup of coffee's gone, the first run comes in. A car slid off the road, there's a family trapped within. My heart beats like a hammer, I can barely catch my breath. I'm thinking the worst and hoping for the best. Yeah, we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. It's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this burden when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone. Now my shift is finally over, I gotta deal with what's mine and try to find a way to leave those tragedies behind. So I hug my 2 children, I kiss on my wife. Just another day, the first responder's life. Yeah, we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. It's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this burden when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone. Flashing lights fill the air, broken bodies everywhere. Another bad dream is stealing my sleep. 'Cause we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. And it's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this hurting when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone, it keeps going on. When those sirens are gone.
Hey, welcome to the award-winning Mad Radio Show, your first responder network with Sam and John. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Sam. How are you today?
Oh, it's been a roller coaster ride since last week.
Yes, you definitely use those correct words. For those that do not know, I'm going to let Sam share this. We took a step backwards, but we took a giant leap forward when it comes to post-traumatic stress within our first responders. And Sam, I don't know if you want to elaborate a little bit on this, what happened this past week, and the steps that were not failures, but the steps that were missed, the flags that were missed, and then the leap forward that we have taken because of the awareness?
Yeah, so for those of you guys that follow the show, you know I live in Rowlett, in Rockwall County, and that John and I, we started a Badge of Honor in 2019, brought on Jeff Freeman, Rowlett police officer, as well as John Edmondson, our clinician. And what we do at a Badge of Honor is post-traumatic stress awareness and suicide prevention for our first responders. We are completely 100% dedicated with the help from Third Watch, LEMC, the VROC, and Walk the Bridge. We've saved 7 people. And it takes all of the resources to come together. And last week, we lost a Rowlett police officer, a sergeant, more than 20 years on the force, to suicide. So it was really personal, really raw, and it was good timing in that what John just said, elaborating on, it was a step backwards in that we lost one of our own. I mean, it's close. However, what came out of it, and I'll share that in a second, is huge. We happened to be doing a workshop on Friday. So this happened Thursday morning. We had a workshop at local PDs, and that PD, Garland PD, phenomenal CIT team, boom, right into action. And we were able to make an impact so huge that the chief declared Sergeant Guy Helms's death a line of duty death. So he will be buried with full honors. And with that, we also reached out to our partners, and we were able to get Guns N' Hoses Foundation Executive Director Dave Swaby on board, and their board decided to give full financial support to the family. And Dave was on the show not too long, it just, everything kind of came together. And so John and I are a little incoherent tonight.
Yeah,
it's been a complete roller coaster, but it has turned out to be a game changer. And this is just the beginning, because we're more determined now than ever to make a change and work hard for it in the law enforcement community and the first responder community.
Sam, I just want to elaborate a little bit on that. For those who do not understand the classifications between line of duty and natural causes or suicide, when we talk about breaking the stigma and the stigma of mental health across our nation's first responders community, when a first responder takes their life due to, and as Brian so well put it today, was, the 1,000 small little cuts that you get over a career. The post-traumatic stress is a game changer where if you take your life, you lose everything. So 27 years on serving his community and the state of Texas, honorably, post-traumatic stress got the better of him, and he ended up taking his life. But when only 5% of the suicides are deemed, less than 5% of the suicides nationwide are deemed line of duty. So that what happens is, if it's not line of duty, the family does not get the full honors at the funeral. No one's allowed to wear their uniforms. It usually gets swept under the rug. The family sometimes is shunned by the department. They get no monetary backing. They get no benefits. They get nothing. So 27 years of service, or how many years of services those officers or those first responders put in, is wiped away. And it's kind of, like I said, the stigma. What this did, but what the chief of Rowlett did, was he opened up such a door to change and help break that stigma by classifying as a line of duty, by recognizing that the stresses that this officer has challenged throughout his career made him come to this. the line of duty designation opened up doors for Guns and Hoses and other organizations who have bylaws saying that they can help out monetarily from their organization if it's a line of duty injury, so, or a line of duty death. So that opened up the doors, and Dave was one of the first people to step up. Dave Swavey from Guns and Hoses step up and say, we want to be a part of this. We want to help because they are also in the field of helping officers who have fallen in the line of duty. So this is a huge step for the mental health community. It's a huge step for law enforcement and first responders everywhere. It gives us a little bit of fighting power to go to legislation and really try to fight for our first responders' rights when it comes to this. So we will keep you updated every step of the way. But all we ask for you tonight is to pray for the family of the fallen all around our nation, but especially here in Rowlett. Pray for the families and always support. And that's, I don't want to keep harping on this, but it was a huge step taken by the chief. So
yeah,
big kudos, and I commend him for what he did.
Yeah, and if people want to contribute, they can go through the Rowlett Police Association. Please understand that there's only direct line. It's the Rowlett Police Association, Rowlett Police Department. If nobody else is soliciting money. So if you're getting phone calls, if you're getting asked on social media, the answer is no. Right. We know that this brings out the best in people, but we also know that it brings out the worst trolls, if you will. Right. And I'm just going to say trolls because that's what they are.
You're right.
So,
you're right.
Yeah. So we've been dealing with that over the past couple of days as well. So Rowlett Police Association to help support the Helms family.
Yeah. And which brings us to the show tonight. You know, that officer did not have a first responder spouse, but you know, his spouse did feel the stresses of the job, you know, vicarious trauma. Tonight's show, we have two people who have battled in their individual ways, but have also together in a support network that is beyond any that we've ever seen. The strength these two individuals have, and we've had them on before, is something to be cherished and, you know, followed. Right? Would that be the word?
Well, we should use it to learn from as well.
Yeah.
Because it's we went. I'll call it last time. This is part 2. We were a little surface last time, and this time we're gonna dive a little deeper, talking about therapy modalities and really how that made a difference. And I think we touched a little bit on communication last time. So we're ready?
Yeah, whenever you are. If she hasn't killed him yet.
Yeah. Well, we like to welcome Meg and Eric back to the show. Hey guys. I got my hat on too. So happy birthday, Marine Corps.
Happy birthday to all my Marines out there.
There you go. So if you guys that's joining us tonight, if you haven't watched the previous episode with Meg and Eric, you can go to our YouTube page and watch it. It's really, because I'm not going to read the bios again, other than to say combined. You guys have like 43 years or some crazy amount of service to this country. Eric is a veteran, Marine Corps and Air Force, you overachiever, you, and firefighter, and Meg is a law enforcement officer. And so that's why, you know, we titled the show and Married with PTSD. Because on any given day, right, guys?
Oh yeah, we've been down that. Yeah, we've been down that ups and downs the last week or two.
Well, and congratulations, you guys! Didn't you guys get remarried in Vegas?
Oh no, we just had our anniversary.
Oh, you celebrated your anniversary.
I celebrated 7 years of her not killing me yet.
Oh, hey now. I told you I need you for your benefits.
Is there a special gift for that? Not just 7, but for the extra or not killing you yet.
I don't know. I think that you know, she does pretty good. She got diamonds.
When I ask for something, he gets it for me.
So I don't think I've ever said no to anything.
Oh, you said no to the yellow diamond, the canary diamond that I wanted.
Yes.
He said no. That was about 12 grand.
Yeah. But
yeah.
Little drop in a bucket.
Yeah, pretty much for the last 7 years, everything she's asked for, she's gotten.
Yeah, a couple more shifts, you know.
Yeah. And she said that a few times. You can just go work some overtime.
Well, go ahead, John.
I was going to say that what you guys are doing right now is such healthy banter. You know, that it shows that you guys have overcome a lot of challenges. And I really commend you guys on that, because many who have been through what you've been through would not be sitting together on a screen. Either one would be dead or in another state. And, you know, so you two have, I would love you to share some of your techniques, some of what you went through, and to help those couples that are out there that may be battling, that may feel that, hey, this is not working for us, we got to leave, but to show that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
So the best technique that I found, you need to make a really hard hand and hit him right there in the out of his apple.
And my technique that I learned over the 7 years is the one that most men know is just yes, dear. Yes, dear.
To the canary diamond. But you haven't gotten a canary diamond yet.
Yep.
Well, this is like the shortest Mad Radio we've ever had. If that's, you know, no, but on a serious note, most, you know, the divorce rate both with firefighting and in law enforcement, sky high, and that doesn't include, like, you guys are different in that you guys are both first responders married to each other. We just have, I'll call it kind of sort of regular marriages where you have one person's the first responder and the other one is not. And, you know, those marriages don't last. I think, John, we touched on this on the workshop that,
right.
You know, one, we talk about practice wives and multiple marriages, and, you know, combined families, because, you know, it's this huge amount of kids from combined families, and maybe it's the second, third, or fourth
or sixth
marriage.
In some cases.
Yeah. So the track record isn't there, and for success, because we sure don't get what we need on the job. It's not like, hey, come, if your marriage is in the shitter, let's talk about it, right? You just get through your shift, you do what you got to do, and then you go home and you try and figure it out. How do you guys navigate the day-to-day?
Communication.
Yeah.
I know that's said on every situation, but if you think about it, a lot of marriages are, you know, could go to divorce because lack of communication. And we had to learn how to communicate with each other better. And some of it I learned at Chateau Recovery. And some of it I've learned when we went to couples counseling. So we've done couples counseling, which is a great way to be able to communicate with one another in an unbiased setting where there's a third person there to help you navigate through communication and teach you some tips and tricks. And we learned a lot in couples counseling, and, you know, we probably need to go back.
Yeah. And we did the couples counseling not because we were having marital problems. It was couples counseling for both of us to be able to understand each other's mental problems or what our PTSD and struggling, but also for the other to be able to talk to the person. So it helped me understand what Meg was going through. And when I was talking to her, for me to be able to express what I was feeling without putting her into a bad position or triggering her to, like, shut down, and vice versa.
So this is John does a great job covering this in our workshops. So this is learning each other's triggers, if I'm understanding, and how to ask, like, did you go through how to ask questions? What questions are good questions? What are not?
Yeah. You know, questions, I think you have to be really in a good place of mind to ask certain questions, especially if they are sensitive and you know, just like would you go up to somebody and be like, do you have PTSD? Like I would never go up to Eric and be like, do you have PTSD? But you know, I need to ask those questions in a way that you're comfortable, they're going to be comfortable. And it's really not a mind-boggling, you know, experience. Just be like, hey, are you having a bad day today? It can be as simple as that. What has you triggered today? And be upfront about it. You know, be completely honest about it. Hey, you know, I feel you're not in a good place. Just so you know, your actions and behavior are affecting me. You know, just being able to state that and be completely, instead of you did this, you did that, or, you know, some of those accusatory wording. But the questions, I mean, we had to learn it all over again.
And like she just said, the I feel statements, you know, that way you're expressing, this is how I feel, instead of it saying you're doing this, because then it's accusatory. You're doing this wrong. Instead of saying, hey, I feel that this is happening. So it's expressing, hey, my feeling inside is you did X, Y, and Z. And then Meg can turn around and say, well, no, I didn't do X, Y, and Z. And I'm sorry you feel that way. And then we can have an open discussion without it turning into either one of us feeling like we're on the defensive.
Well, words, like I said, words are really huge when it comes to communication, the right choice of words.
Yes.
But what you just said with the I feel and stuff, that comes with a comfort zone, doesn't it? That you're able to do that. So, you know, when that has to be worked out with a professional therapist to learn how to. So, because if you turn around and said, well, I feel, just by you saying that, and I'll go from my own past experience, I immediately look at that as, wait, you're turning this around on you?
Oh,
you know,
I didn't think about that.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah, I would immediately. So that's why I'm saying that's a great tool, but it's got, because now I know with my anger issues, I would immediately turn around and go, if my wife turned around and said, well, I feel, I'd be like, whoa, I'm having an issue. This ain't about you. And it's not that she's making it about herself. It's that she's using those words, but it's the way my mind would perceive it. Right. So I would have to be trained in that communication process.
So
Correct?
I think at some point that I don't know, selfish is not the right word, but when you're in that mood, I know you guys are kind of tunnel vision in that kind of situation where, especially when you're irritable and angry, but maybe at a later time, they can just be like, it's not all about you, you know, and it's not all about you, you know, it's not all about me. Right. It's not all about him. It's about us.
Right.
And you know, what if verbalization or communication through the mouth is not working? I would suggest writing a letter or have a journal. We've done this before where we have a journal, and when he goes to work early in the morning, he would write things down, whether they were love notes or, hey, I need you to take the trash out, or, you know, hey, I was feeling this way, because sometimes changing the modality of way you communicate can also be helpful, because if I read it, you know, I'm seeing it, you know, I'm reading it. And obviously if you had a bad night the night before and you wake up in the morning, and if the person starts, you know, shitting on you again, it's probably not going to be a good idea. So, but, you know, change the modality, change the method of communication. Maybe via text is easy for some couples. Maybe it's, like I said, write a letter to the person or write a note to the person, write an email. Like, it doesn't have to be completely face-to-face.
Right.
Verbal.
Yeah. When Meg was really struggling with her depression, I put a dry erase board right by our kitchen. And every morning I would write, because I knew telling her or saying to her, hey, you know, you trying to motivate her wasn't going to work. So I would write a little like something motivational every morning.
Do the laundry.
No. Well, yeah, but just something motivational to kind of try to.
You folded that shirt really well.
try to motivate her just to get her day started, because a lot of times that's what it was. She just needed to get that first foot moving forward. So
you know, you guys have invested. You know, first of all, for everybody listening, comment stream is open. Please feel free to ask your questions. You guys have invested a tremendous amount of time. And what would you say to couples that just, it's like, ugh, you know, the marriage has been forever and there's no changing this person, you know, what would you say?
If I can, the first one on that, when we talk first responders, military, you know, veterans, like you said, we're fortunate. We're both first responders, so we can both relate to what's going on. And we just talked about this a little bit today. The first responder, that individual, in order to get to a place where they can communicate with their spouse, their loved one, they need to realize that a lot of the problem is they're stuck in their job identity. And, you know, they're wrapped up in their identity, their sense of purpose, everything is being a police officer, being a firefighter, you know, being, you know, someone in the military. And so when it comes to time to actually be able to communicate with their spouse, they're still stuck in that. And that's where we're fortunate. Everything we do together in essence, but we're not work. You know, she's not a police officer. I'm not a firefighter. When we're doing this, it's what's passionate inside of us. And I think that's one problem that a lot of first responders, they don't get out of that mindset when they leave the job and come home. Their mind is still, hey, I'm a cop and that's my identity, or hey, I'm a firefighter and that's my identity. That's who I am.
I think also, you know, when you have like a 20-year marriage or something and the person's in law enforcement or, you know, first responder, it gets monogamous. It really does. It's like okay, I'm working, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday this week. And then the next week I'm working Wednesday, Thursday. And it gets very monotonous. And I think, you know, little trips are good to almost learn each other again. And I think it also, if the person is struggling mentally, like obviously Eric was struggling mentally first, and then I ended up struggling mentally after him. But if the person is struggling mentally, if they are not, you know, working on themselves and their, I don't want to say issues, because that's like something bad, but their mental health, that it affects their spouse tremendously. Right. And what ended up happening to me is with his, you know, his PTSD, I started isolating from him because I didn't want to be around him. So, you know, and then he, like, when I finally told him that, like, it really took a hard conversation to just be like, I don't like being around you at all. And to hear that from your spouse, it's got to be a gut punch. I never asked him how he felt when I said that to him, but it was an eye opener for him as well. And it opened his, you know, his mind to be like, wow, I'm pushing my wife away. Like,
well, let me ask something. Meg, what gave you the strength, or what pushed you to that point? Because we have a lot of spouses out there. So you guys are lucky in the aspect that you both have a first responder background, you know, and you have that training behind you. But how about for the one family spouse, right? How do you approach something like that with because I'm sure that was on your mind for a long time to say, hey, you know, I don't like this or whatever, but you were fearful to say it, or you didn't know how to say it. What was that breaking point, or what gave you the courage to finally say, hey, I'm going to give you that throat punch, you know? Yeah. What?
I don't know what it was, but I had been the brunt end of all of his shit. I'm sorry. Can I say that on?
Yeah.
Yes. You're allowed.
And hey,
Biden can do it on TV. You can do it here.
Awesome. Well, I finally came to this, you know, he was in one of his moods, and I just looked straight at him and I was done. Like, I don't know what it was. It was just him in another mood. And I reached a point where I couldn't take anymore. And I said, I don't like being around you anymore. And that really, I mean, and think about it. That's not like you're a fucking asshole. Oh.
No, you're good. You're good.
You're fine. You're totally fine.
Instead of saying you're an asshole and I don't like to be around you, you know, that came out and it was much nicer. You know, obviously words can hurt. So you don't want to use hurtful words to tell him that. But it just happened. And I've said that to him a couple of times. And he knows I'm not joking when I say something like that.
But see, perception now, on Eric's point, to hear that, right?
How did you feel?
When you're in that, when you're in that stage, when you're in that emotional stage, the perception of what she says to you could go either way. It could go, well, you don't like to be around me, pack your shit, get the fuck out. I'm leaving. Right. And you could end it. Or how do you stay open to her feelings without losing your temper, without being angry and going, hey, you know what? That throat punch, but really that hit, what brings you back down and say, I mean, it's probably love and everything else and compassion, but instead of losing your temper and getting angry and jetting, how do you turn around and say, I'm with you. I understand and I'm sorry.
Yeah. So from over the years, I've learned that with my temper, that it's best for me not to engage right away. So I have to step back. But when she makes that comment, when she says, hey, I don't like being around you, it's a kick to the gut. And it usually for me is an eye opener. I have to walk away, and it's a reality that I'm acting or I'm going back to where I was, because, part of my suicide attempt was I had got to a point where I hated the way I was treating Meg. So when she says, I don't want to be around you, or I don't like being around you because you're being an asshole again.
I didn't say that.
It takes me back to, okay, am I back to struggling to the point where I'm treating her terrible, and my anger, my irritability, whatever I'm struggling with at the time, is she the punching bag again? And it makes me kind of hit the reset button that, hey, wait a minute.
Okay.
Meg is not what is causing my struggle. So don't take it out on Meg. So that gets me to talk to her and say, okay, what's going on? What am I doing? What are you seeing? So then I can turn around and go to my therapist and say, hey, this is what happened.
But how do you do that? Because we all know, we've all been through this. When you got your blinders on, when you know how you get that tunnel vision, like you said before, you got your blinders on. What part of the therapy, or what brought that inside moment to say, I'm going to take these blinders off and see the whole picture of what Meg is talking about?
Really,
how do you do that?
Yeah, for me, it was really just years of learning.
Years of learning, and going through the therapy, and just knowing that if I just lash out, if she says, hey, I hate being around you, and I go, F you, or you know what, fine, you don't want to be around me, stay in the kitchen barefoot, I'm going to go watch the football game. That's not going to solve the problem. As a firefighter, you shouldn't say that to law enforcement. You really should.
Right.
That's all right.
Right. So I just, I learned that the best thing for me to do is for me to step away, to disengage. While I know that when I stop talking to her, it's going to make her angry. I'm not trying to make her angry, but I have to step away, get myself calmed down, get myself grounded, and be able to think about and get to the rational state to say, okay, she doesn't want to be around me. What am I doing? What's going on? And then when I can get myself grounded to a point where I can talk and not want to argue or fight or say hurtful things, that's when I can go talk to her and say, okay, what's going on?
I think also, like, when he's in one of his moods, I typically don't say much, because what's the point? Honestly, I could say something and he goes off on me because he's in one of his, like, I could be like, you're acting like a fool or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I think when you take it and the spouse or the other individual is cool, calm, and collected, that can make a huge deal with someone that's in crisis, or that someone's in, going through a mood. And that's how I don't deliver it with anger. I mean, I think I've only really screamed at him maybe 3 times in our marriage, like where I was just like, and I'm not saying hurtful. I'm not saying hurtful things, but you try to say it in a calm, cool, collected, thing, try to snap them out of it. But if they don't snap out of it and they just continue to be the way they are, it is what it is. You might want to, I hate to say this, but if he didn't change, I don't know if I would still be his wife right now. if he didn't work on himself, and I don't want to say change, but if he didn't work on himself and learn how to be a better person for himself and for us, then I probably wouldn't be sitting here. You
make a good point, and it's the effort on that both of you did to learn what goes on with yourself, what goes on with each other, so that when times are stressed and tough, you recognize it. So it's like, oh, the little cues, right?
Yep.
So maybe the stuff you were going to talk about, you switch gears and talk about something else. I think Meg and Eric, you're like really dialing it in for people to understand that it's not just, hey, we come home and we talk. Is like, no, you guys got individual support and then support together. And we have some comments coming in.
Yeah, I was just looking at those.
My brother's on there.
Yeah. And you know, it is like Meg said, it's the work. We both have to keep doing our individual work, and then together we're constantly doing the work together, because there is no magic pill. There's no magic potion or drink or anything that's going to fix, you know, a mental health problem. It's work. You don't go see a doctor and they wave a magic wand and you're better. The individual, the couple has to put in the time and the effort to want to get better, to want to make forward progress. And that's the only way that we've done it.
When you say time and effort, and that's a key word, because a lot of people don't have patience. This is not an overnight. It's not an overnight fix. It could take months, and it could take sometimes years to find a healthy balance between both of you. But once you find that healthy balance, it's well worth the therapy that you went 100%. Through.
It could also take somebody like leaving, like separating for a while because they're so in their stuff, and like, hey, you need to figure out what this is,
Right.
I think you got to take pride out of the situation too. Because
sure.
Pride is, first responders are type A. They're very, they're proud. And to take that out of the scenario really helps. Cause I mean, like, here you have a SF guy and I'm telling him I don't like to be around him, that pride. And then he comes back and shares with me. So, you have that pride factor. So you got to take pride out of it. Like if it comes to the person that's struggling, take pride out of it. It's your your best friend, your wife, your spouse, your significant other, partner, whatever it is. They only want the best for you. They're not your enemy, and you can't treat them like they're your enemy. They want the best for you.
Yeah.
You talk about stepping away, time apart. When Meg went away last year for the month, that right there was it was rough on me. I know it was rough on her. It killed me back here. It's the first time we'd been apart for 30 days. Yeah. And so it made me realize just, how important she is and how much us together means. So, but, it helped me build my inner strength to know that, I can take care of me if she's not here, and vice versa.
Yeah. So space is also an option.
Yep.
Like you said.
Tara went through the same thing as you, Eric. When I went away for the 30 days to Chateau, she was left high and dry going like, what the F, thank God she had Sam, and she had some, she had a good support network behind her. And Chateau was amazing with keeping her updated and everything else. But still, it's now your spouse is out of the house for 30 days. It's like, now what?
Go party.
Well, I mean, it's that's time for you also to, you're together. You're part of the process. It can't be only one person.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
So it's not just Meg going away. Eric was doing work when Meg was away.
Mm-hmm.
Not work as in going to be a firefighter, but the hard work, communications, learning more, all of that. And it's, nobody said that the navigating part was going to be easy. And I think it's just coming from a different mindset. And I know that's hard it's almost like generational. I don't want to like go into like classifying people of different ages, but it's like the Chiefs, John, and you guys, like when you go to talk to a chief or a sheriff that's been the chief forever, the sheriff forever, and you're talking about the things that their deputies or their officers are seeing on a daily basis because you've been there, done that, and it's like what you are saying doesn't exist. You know, they're completely discounting that. So if you have that's the tough part, is that you have the first responder that's out there seeing, doing, experiencing the trauma and everything, and if they're coming home to somebody that's not in that world, there's a really huge learning curve that has to be done at both levels. It's the first responder learning to talk with, not at, you know, when you come home. And first of all, it's that transition that we teach and talk about. Is like, you drive in the driveway, shoop, you do what you need to do to transition. You're not you're not on duty anymore. Your mom, dad, aunt, uncle, whatever it is. And that comes with a whole different kind of communicating than on the job. And then on the flip side, I mean, Meg and Eric, you guys are the ultimate fixers, right? So first responders, what do? We fix. We fix things. We fix the situations.
Yeah.
The worst thing.
You want to fix
it's
everything.
like you come home and you're like, stop trying to fix me. I'm just talking. Right?
You know,
how do you navigate the fixing?
Well, you know what, saying about the talking and, you know, talking about in the driveway, you know, hitting that turnoff switch. And Meg's brought this up before when we've talked to spouses is, and John, you know this, when we're struggling, our spouses know we're struggling. They see it. We don't want to tell our spouses. Fortunately, we're a first responder couple. So the crazy crap I see is similar to the crazy crap she sees. So we can be very open and blunt, totally about it.
Well, let's be real. You're a firefighter, so you're sleeping half your tour. She's out there protecting the streets. So you know what? You see your pillow and your sheets. No,
right. I have to tell her about the trauma of, you know, like the ice cream cake that came to the station and stuff like that. It was terrible.
Burn the hamburgers tonight.
Right. But we talk about being able to come home because she knows when I'm struggling. And if she wasn't a police officer, me being able to tell her the Disney version of what happened in my day and her being able to listen to it, not going, oh my God, that's horrific, but hearing the Disney version so that she can see, okay, this is why he's struggling. And so many first responders are afraid. They don't want to tell their spouse, like, right, oh my gosh, this is what happened.
Like it's going to affect them,
right,
or,
then vice versa. Vice versa, the spouse is afraid to say, hey, look, I know something's bothering you. Talk to me. I'm here for you.
And I wouldn't pester them. Like for me, it's like if I wasn't a first responder, if he came home and said, you know, the Disney version of what he dealt with that day, you've got to respect that. To like, the spouse really needs to respect that in the sense of, he had a really shitty day. Like, you know, maybe at your job, you ran out of staples. Like, no, I'm just kidding. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to make it. Or you didn't get to eat lunch, or, you know, something like where certain things, like he had a really bad day, and respect the fact that he might need to just be by himself for a while. And, you know, have that understanding, you know, have that conversation beforehand. And like, if you come home, be like, do you need time by yourself? Yes. That's a clue. You know, like then you let him come. All right, well then come back to me when you're ready to talk, or you want to get involved in what's going on tonight. So, I mean, that's a big thing. And like, I think, you know, with, like he said, the Disney version, some like spouses want to hear that, you know, non-Disney version, which I mean, it's up to them, but the spouses do want to know what you've been through, what you've seen, because they can somewhat relate to it to a point of like, that's awful. Like if that,
you know, bringing that up, you know, and now more than ever, spouses see a lot of crap on the news.
Oh yeah.
Right. So, and the news glorifies a lot of stuff. The news really, you know, if it bleeds, it leads, the whole bit.
Yep.
You know, so when you bring in that Disney version of what happens at work, your spouse is probably like, well, that's not what they showed on the news. Or, that's not what I saw. You know, stop sugarcoating it. So there's that line too, because now, you know, our jobs, when we were able to hide them pretty much, now are up close and personal on every TV set in America or every YouTube channel or every piece of social media. So our spouses, believe it or not, are out in the field with us when we're working.
That's a good point.
They do see that. But what I did want to bring up, and I don't mean to change the subject because before I forget, because my memory's gone. Married with PTSD, you're still married, so you're still going to argue as couples, right? Because couples still argue. So what is the key factor to say, well, I'm having an issue, or I really hate what you cooked tonight?
Well, I think we, you know, as spouses or partners, you really learn your partner. You really learn their moods. And with someone with PTSD, you learn their triggers. Because when I was, you know, being the service human to him, the silent warrior, where I was walking on eggshells, I was also basically, you know, sitting there making sure things around us don't piss him off, you know, like, or if there's something coming up, giving him a heads up, that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's learning your triggers, learning their triggers, learning your spouse's mood. Do you have anything to add to that?
As the person that was going through the PTSD, going through the really bad struggle, unfortunately, a lot of times we don't see what we're doing. There was times I could see it. I could see, you know, the pain that I was putting on her, because, you know, she would say, hey, I don't want to be around you, or no, I'm not riding in the car with you. You're driving crazy, you know, whatever it was. It's tough. It really is. And really married with PTSD, it is on the spouse that's not going through the struggle. It really is. And I feel sorry for every spouse that goes through it. It is not easy to look back and to see and I said it today when we did a presentation. I have no idea why she stayed with me.
I told you your benefits.
because I look back and I know I was a complete a-hole. I was miserable to be around. I hated who I was. So I can only imagine.
Eric, that was only your outer shell. She saw the inner shell.
Oh,
She's,
yeah,
you know,
totally.
And that's a big thing. And you said it. That was a key right there. Is, you know, we have to learn to peel back that onion. We have to learn to see what is inside. And sadly to say, a lot of new marriages or new couples don't have that connection yet, and it's too late. You know, they don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to process it. They don't know how to find that happy balance or be able to peel back that layer and say, you know what, it really isn't you. I love you, but, you know, I don't love the outside shield. I don't love that outer layer when the PTSD is there. Let me peel that back a minute. Oh, there he is. Or there she is.
I think it's when the spouse says, I didn't sign up for this.
Yep. Yeah, that is a tough one. You know, and I can we're very fortunate. I don't know how this ever happened between the two of us, but from the time we got engaged, we weren't a couple. We weren't partners. We've been a team.
Yeah.
We've been Team Merrick since the day we got engaged. And I still remember before we even got engaged, going and meeting Meg when she was on her lunch and talking about a relationship and marriage and talking about, hey, you know, a relationship and marriage, it's got speed bumps, but the only way we're going to navigate those speed bumps is together. you know. And I just told a friend of mine that was getting married, you know, that. And the other one I always talk about is, John, you'll understand this, a photo album, you know, an actual, like, you know, book with pictures.
Yeah,
in it.
yeah.
Are
you saying I'm old? Are you saying I'm old?
Yeah, I guess so.
But I always say that, you know, when you look at a photo album, you see all the great times. Oh, we were in Hawaii, we were here, we were there. Well, a marriage isn't a photo album. Right. There's pictures that aren't so great. So you're going to have the good with the bad, but you have to navigate that together. And I think that's what we've done really well. Even in the roughest of times, we got through it together because there was no way either one of us was going to make it on our own.
Nope. And, you know, I know this upset you last time, John, but I also don't think PTSD is an excuse to act like an asshole.
Oh, no. It's never an excuse.
Yes.
No,
did he not say it's not his fault? He goes, it's not my fault. It's PTSD, you know?
And we said it's not the women, you know, ganging up on the guys, but yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I still have so much healing to do and so much learning to do. Because I do feel, you know, I still have bad perceptions. The words, I hear words differently than they would come out. And you said it perfectly before about talking at somebody instead of talking to somebody. You know, and that's from being on the street. I've been, you know, and you know this, Meg, nobody talks to you on the street. They talk at you on the street. Right.
I'm going to tell you what you're going to do.
Yeah. Or probably with a little spit, you know? So I take everything as being talked at. So as soon as that happens, my defenses immediately go up, right? And it's just training. It's just the way I was, you know, the way I was trained and been on the street. So my defenses immediately go up. And once those defenses are up, it's hard to bring that back down.
Sure.
You know?
You're also a fiery Sicilian, so.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
So,
I'll just blame it on my ancestors.
I would try. You know what I would suggest for you, and I know it's something small. Try a breathing technique. Try the 4-7-8, where you breathe in 4 seconds, hold for 7, and exhale for 8 seconds. When you're in that moment, try to just be present for that one moment and be like, I need to do a breathing exercise, and try to bring yourself back down.
You know, and with John Edmondson, who's one of our team members with Badge of Honor, we do that all the time. And you know, the hand on the heart, the hand on the belly, and just, you know, breathing techniques. Believe it or not, I never really believed in them until I went to the chateau. And I learned, you know, yoga, though I'll never get back in those yoga pants again. But did I just give you guys a really good visual?
I can see it now.
No, but you know, the yoga, the meditation, it really, really centers you. And like what I learned from John the other day, you know, when you start to shrink your hippocampus, right, the center part of your brain, when you start to shrink that and you start to refocus, things become a lot more clear. You don't look at words or actions as threatening, you know, because now you look at them as a normal person.
Yeah.
And breathing is one of Eric's techniques. And sometimes I have to say, hey, I think you need to do a 4-7-8.
I was just going to say that. And maybe that's something for Tara to say to you.
And like, I'll put my hand on him. I put my hand on him very softly. Because, you know, sometimes words are something, but when you touch somebody, they know they're talking, you know, they know you're talking to them. And say, hey, I think you need to be a 4-7-8. And he'll be like, okay.
Well, John, I would have to say personally, since we work together, is if you were, you know, getting in that defensive thing and you just went like this to yourself, not only would it would key you, but I think everybody around you would be like, it's an invisible kind of putting out of a signal that everybody kind of understands this. When you do it to yourself while somebody's talking to you.
Or it's the international slang for I'm having a heart attack.
I'm choking.
I'm choking. Yeah. No, I think heart attack comes with a facial not, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that it's very true.
But, you know,
That's a good thing. That,
exactly. Sometimes it takes a little bit more than you guys go through the counseling. You go through learning each what sets each other off. So what to do, what not to do. But sometimes it takes a little extra. And just going off of Chris's comment right here in terms of bringing in live fuzzy additions.
Oh yeah,
Are trained not only to you know, I find it funny because the more workshops and the way we're out there, the dogs just start interacting with each other and they go to other people. So it's like the dogs have the cross training.
Oh yeah.
oh yeah.
So you guys have service dogs.
Yes.
And although they were specifically assigned to you, I think, was it Meg, you were sharing last time that you were having a nightmare and Denny, Eric's dog, jumped up on you, right?
Yeah, that was before I had Tybee. She's not trained in nightmare interruption, but she kind of knows, like, does that make sense? And one time she like woke me up, and I think she knew something was going on, but Denny did wake me up from a nightmare interruption. This was when he was working and wasn't allowed to take the dog yet. His ADA accommodation didn't come through at the time. So I was taking care of Denny while he was at work. Funny thing is, Chris is my brother, and I want to tell him I love him. He knows that I have a service dog and Eric has a service dog. So I think that was, and I like his question about being helpful to both spouses. And I think that it is tremendously helpful to each person, because before Eric had Denny, I was his only person. Like I told you, I was a service human. So being a service human.
Did you wear the vest?
No.
You did get the shirt made though for the one conference.
I do have a shirt that says "Do not pet service human." I do have that shirt. But it gave him another outlet, I don't want to say person, but somebody else to rely on to help him through those moments, because I'm not going to be around 24/7. So in that instance, it definitely helps him. And for me, I had been presenting my side of the story a couple times, and people in the audience were like, "Why don't you get a service dog?" And I was like, "But I'm not a veteran, and my PTSD is from him. It's not from, you know, being a police officer. I'm sure I have stuff that I don't want to deal with, and it'll happen after I retire and whatnot." But, you know, at the time it was, you know, the PTSD from when he went missing, the night that he went missing, that was my traumatic incident. So getting me a service dog as well was very beneficial, because when she comes over, she knows what's going on with me. He comes over, he knows what's going on with him, and we don't have to be each other's person all the time. Right. And they're just great. I mean, any dog is amazing. Well, most of them are, except for those vicious ones.
I have to say the service dogs, and just going back to our last workshop last Friday, Dale, who one of the service dogs that was there, it amazes me, you know, that dogs aren't there. Yes, they're trained for you, but I watched Dale walk around that room. And and you could see who was stressing, who was really getting triggered, or who was because Dale would walk right up and just be right next to them, and it was almost like they had drugs on, like a drug sniffing dog. You could tell who has the drugs on him. Dale really, and once Dale went over to that person, that stranger in our group, you almost saw the.
Yeah,
relaxation over. Yeah, you saw that relaxation come through.
Now, these dogs, basically, I don't want to say they're trained to smell, but they're obviously their smell is 6,000 times better than our smell. They smell our cortisol levels. So you put off a pheromone or whatever, scientific, that your level of cortisone is increasing. They know when that is. Like I'll start stressing out, and Tybee will be right next to me, and I'll be like, "What do you need?" And then I'll be like, "Oh, it's me." They can smell that. And so they can smell it on each person. Right.
It amazes me how they can do that. I like your brother Chris said, the benefits are not only for you and your spouse, but they recognize other people as well. And I saw Dale de-stress so many people in our room just by rubbing up against their leg, sitting down, and you could tell the severity of it because Dale would stay longer,
Right.
and he would leave and he would walk away when he'd be like, oh, "Okay, you're okay. I'm going to the next person."
And he also made us laugh. He gave us some comedic relief when he did that crazy running thing.
Yeah.
Remember, we're in the circle and he just comes tearing around the whole room right through the room.
He was just playing. He was a fun dog. Fun.
And you know, that relief that the dogs give, that's why more and more departments, both on the police and the fire side, are bringing therapy dogs in as part of their peer teams or SISM teams, because they can go into that environment where you may have an individual who doesn't want to really open up or isn't comfortable right away. That therapy dog's there and it helps lower that stress level. And the next thing you know, they're willing to talk, or they're willing to open up, and you can start having that dialogue to help somebody.
Right.
And they're amazing animals. Amazing.
So I'm looking at the clock and we've like already blown past the hour. This has been phenomenal.
No, you're good.
What would, if we have couples listening and it's like they're recognizing, okay, I get what they're talking about, they're understanding that I need to learn you, you need to learn me. What would you say is like step one?
Not it.
Okay. So really step one, and this goes to everybody listening out there, is don't think that a couples counselor is because your marriage is ending. Look at using a couples counselor, like as Meg has said, almost as that neutral third party that creates a safe environment for both individuals to talk openly and to be able to share how they're feeling without it coming out as an attack. And I would tell any couple who's having a hard time communicating, go find that couples counselor, that couples therapist, get in there so you can talk together in a meaningful way and start the road moving forward. Because if you're not communicating already, you're not just going to magically overnight start communicating. You really need that third person there to help, you know, build those communication networks and, you know, get each other on the same communication path so you can start working through it.
And communication is not just verbalizing, it's also listening to your spouse. And one of the exercises they'll do is they'll say, Meg, what do you have to talk about today? And I'll be like, I need to tell him that he left, you know, dirty dishes in the dishwasher and it's really annoying me. Well, Eric, what did you hear?
I heard that Meg didn't do the dishes.
No, then you say something completely different. You're supposed to say something completely different, that you're mad because there's something, you know, whatever. And I'm like, no, that's not what I said. So, you know, and they can also adjust that. And like we said, just learning how to communicate appropriately.
Before we, you know, listening skills are probably the most priority, because we're human nature. We listen to respond. We don't listen to hear. And that is, you know, that is probably the major factor in a lot of things, because we're not educated enough, or we're not, we don't know how to communicate the proper way in a relationship. So when we respond, we're responding to only half of what we heard.
Yep.
You know, so great point with that.
And you know,
fantastic.
And the other one I always say, for the first responder out there, and you guys have talked about it when you pull in the driveway, you know, flip that switch. You're no longer a cop. You're no longer a firefighter. I'll tell every first responder this: learn now before you get to the point you're retiring that your uniform is the Superman or the Supergirl cape. It's not going to be there forever. She's going to be there forever. So I've got to find what it is.
Well, it might be.
Right. She might be. As long as I still benefit. But I've got to find what it is that makes me me without the uniform on. Right. Because that is what is going to help me move forward in life, and it's going to help us move forward. Because if I'm stuck with the Superman cape, when I no longer have the Superman cape, I'm going to be struggling so bad that she's not going to be able to help me.
Prepare now. Prepare at the beginning of your career.
Yep.
And like he has a couple friends in the special ops family that have, when they retired from the military, their spouse and them basically divorce because they don't know who each other is. Yep. And like, you know, so like don't wait till retirement to learn who your spouse is as well.
Right. Yep. Have some shared common interest.
Yes.
Before, you know, when the music stops, you want to be able to play another song.
Yeah.
Or a different tune.
Yep.
So
absolutely. Sorry, I'm like clicking buttons here.
You're fine.
And the other one I would tell all couples, this magic thing right here. Oh, well, that's Tybee. That is a magic thing. But this magic thing, the cell phone, get rid of them when you're spending some time together. Get rid of them.
good point.
Spend actual time together, communicating, watching a movie, whatever it is. Get the cell phones in another room, detach, especially the people that feel they need to be tied to work when they're off on their cell phone.
Great point. Great point.
That's a fantastic point. Well, again, we can't thank you guys enough.
Yes.
For your time, sharing so many tools and what it is, what those tools look like, you know, in action, and how you can be super successful. And you know, it takes you being a team, truly. Yep. And to approach it that way, and learn how to make it. I'm going to put up real quick, if I have this right, the website marriedwithptsd.com. So everybody can, if you're interested in knowing more, you can read more about Meg's story and Eric's story on the website. That's marriedwithptsd.com. And you can also reach out to them directly. They'll be happy to answer questions, and you know, don't be strangers if you need the help, because there's lots of folks out there that have navigated that and weathered that storm, so that you don't have to try and figure out all the answers.
Yep.
Exactly.
So.
And if you want to say sorry to your spouse, diamonds and flowers work very well.
And
I'll leave you with that.
I was just thinking the same thing. It's never too late
to buy a canary diamond?
No, it's never too late to go back and say, hey, I know I was struggling. I know I was an a-hole, but I'm sorry. Because we have talked to some individuals.
How do I apologize to my wife?
Yep.
Just tell them that you're sorry.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for having us. We
Thank
really
you very
appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you. Can't wait to see you. And you guys are going to be coming up back to Texas next year for the
April,
Ocho Awards?
right?
For the Ocho?
Yeah, I gotta get the date for that.
I'll email it to you.
Thank you.
I'll get it for you.
Awesome.
Definitely be there.
Awesome. Well, we can't wait to see you again. Thank you so much. And yeah, we'll be in touch for sure.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys. Take care.
Take care, you guys. All right. Wow. This is this is just so awesome. Oops, I'm clicking the wrong thing. There's too many buttons tonight.
You know, it's a blessing to see both of them. You know, the work that they've put into their marriage was not easy. It is a struggle. I'm sure they still have their struggles, but just seeing the connection between both of them really makes it, anybody who is struggling should look at Eric and Meg and go, man, we can make this work, because you see the banter, you see the fun, you see the teamwork that they talk about. They are a team. They're a team from the very beginning. So God bless both of them. Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of team, you know, we've got a lot going on between now and the end of the year. If you guys want to know more about how you can get some resources, if you're struggling, visit abadgeofhonor.com, scroll down to our partners. It's as simple as clicking on the logo and you'll go right to the webpage and have contact number. So, you know, don't be a stranger, and know that it's absolutely okay not to be okay. We don't want you to stay there, and you've got the resources. Please reach out, because you're worth it.
Yes.
Absolutely. And you are not alone in your struggle. Hey, there is still time. If you are in East Texas, you are listening, or you know somebody in East Texas, have them sign up for our workshop coming up this Friday. Excuse me. Thank you, Lindale PD, for your sponsorship. Go to badgeofhonor.com, register today. And also, we have got our first fundraiser ever. Yay! It is here in Rowlett, Texas. Thank you, VROC, the Veterans Resource and Outreach Center, for the location, for hosting it with us. And you can also find out more at a Badge of Honor. You can pick up tickets online through Eventbrite. The link is there, are only $10. At the door, they're going to be $15. So bring yourself, bring your families. This is a time for first responder and veterans, family members, come out. If you are a huge supporter of first responders, and I know we both, John, live in communities where we got tons of first responder support, come out, show your support. All of the money raised goes to help us continue our programming, and 2022 is gonna be so different than what this year, because we're pretty much done with that COVID thing. We are out, we are about traveling, and we got lots of things that we're adding to program and creating and starting a brand new one for families. So check us out there. And if you just happen to be watching this on Facebook, I'm getting a weird message right now on the StreamYard that we're, if you're watching on Mad Radio, there might be some issue with the stream, but it's going fine through our Badge of Honor page. I don't know. I don't like when red exclamation points pop up on my screen. But okay. Thank you, Facebook family. Do us a huge jump on over to our YouTube page. It's Mad Radio Texas, all spelled out. You'll see a picture of me and John, so you know you're on the right page. Follow us over there. And if you are part of our YouTube family, thank you so much. Jump on over to our Facebook page at Mad Radio or at a Badge of Honor, so you can stay in touch with us and see all the upcoming stuff that we are bringing, including some programming changes for December. But we don't need to talk about that yet because it's only November 10th.
Well, the YouTube thing is working. YouTube's working.
Say again?
I said it just went onto YouTube. It's working. It's streaming fine.
No, it was Facebook that wasn't working.
Oh.
It was our Mad Radio Facebook page. You know, to all of the first responders out there, you know, we're praying for you every day. We know the trauma that you see, and it doesn't always turn out like we want it to. Again, this show is in memory of Sergeant Guy Helms, who we lost last week. If you are local, please come out to our Walk the Bridge event, which is November 22nd. We walk ceremonial 22 miles, which is 2 miles. Huge turnout for the 22nd. We've got Dave Bray, USA, who's going to be entertaining us with some music. Again, this is something that everybody's feeling, I'll say, across the Metroplex. It's never easy when we lose somebody to suicide. So come on out, be with us on the 22nd. You can check out more walkthebridge.org. Details are on that, or you can find it all over Facebook. We're out there. Yeah, so we've got that. And then December 11th is our fundraiser. So please know that we go to bed praying for you. We wake up praying for you. We want everybody to be safe out there. And if you need help, please ask for the help. There's people there, confidential. Okay. Nobody needs to know. It's between you and the person that you talk to. And happy birthday, Marines. We've got Veterans Day tomorrow as well. Thank you to all the veterans out there. Thank you to all that serve for keeping us, keeping our home front secure. John?
All right. No, you about said it all. Just God bless you all. Prayers to the Helms family in Rowlett. Once again, if you can always ask for help, use your resources. It's not a post-traumatic stress. It's not a one-size-fits-all. Find what's right for you. And one thing, just to backtrack on Eric and Meg, you know, do your research on a therapist. Make sure they come recommended. Make sure they you have some viable feedback from other first responders who have been with them, because a wrong therapist, a wrong resource, or somebody who's not trained in helping you can cause more damage. So make sure you do your due diligence on anybody you speak to and any procedures you're going to go through.
Yes, and just know that we vetted all of our partners, so they wouldn't be on that page if we didn't.
Correct.
Work with them. So,
correct.
Yeah. So
all right.
Yeah. So if you could be anything,
just be kind.
Take care, everybody. See you next
Good
week.
night, Sam.
Good night, John.